Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Sold with Updike Pugh.
I'm Jeff Updike.
And I'm Weston Pugh, and this is our 11th episode, and we are so glad everybody tuned in today.
Yep. Thank you for being here with us.
Excellent. So we wanted to start off the show and talk a little bit about what we've seen throughout the week and some of the things that we thought were interesting to tell you a little bit about the market. We've got both buyers and sellers that are looking from about Oak Cliff as far south as we're going and then up to McKinney. And this is a good time for us to tell you a little bit about the market because, as we all know, the market can be very specific, and in some areas it's really active, and in other areas it can be slowing down, kind of like the weather.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, what did you notice this week?
I think one of the big things that I noticed this week is there is still a lot of activity in the market. There are still people that are looking to purchase a home. There are people that want to sell their homes. It is, especially in certain price points, the market doesn't feel like it's slowed down at all.
No, we've seen a couple of, one buyer specifically was in a situation where I think they made 5 offers. And it wasn't that they were making low offers, and it wasn't that there was anything wrong with the financing or the terms of the close dates. It's just that
there was a lot of interest in that price point, and it's much like what we've said before. If you've got a home that is priced well for the neighborhood,
Yes.
You can even be a smidge over what that last sale was, but if it's in great condition, people are willing to step up and pay top dollar.
Yep. And that also brings us back to the point of how do we determine when it's time for a price reduction to be made on a listing?
Yeah, in this market, it's usually very quick in the beginning of the listing, and within the first 14 to 21 days, just based on the traffic that you have on the listing, based on the feedback you're getting from the showings you do have, you know pretty quickly whether you need to do something different.
And we just actually, about 15 minutes ago, got a really good price reduction on 305 Windermere.
Yeah, 305 South Windermere. It's that really cool house we talked about down in Winnetka Heights. We've had it on the market now for a little over 2 weeks.
Correct.
It is now priced at $450,000. One of the really cool things about this home, well, there's a lot of cool things, but one of the really cool things is that this is one of the very, very few homes in Winnetka Heights that has a pool. Less than 5% of the homes down there have a swimming pool. And for someone that wants to be in a historic district, that wants the convenience of having their own pool, it's a great opportunity.
And again, this is a great one because it's just minutes from a very, very trendy area of Dallas, Bishop's Art District. So whether you're walking or it's a scooter drive, you can get there in no time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, one of the things that we like to do is talk about Dallas real estate, and we are going to talk about a plethora of different types of houses. So we're going to talk about new construction, and we're going to talk about fixer-uppers. We've got some on 0 lot lines and some with 2.7 acres, which is hard to believe that we have that. And we'll also look at condos and a single-family ranch. So let's get started. And the first one that we want to talk about is going to be 32 West Ledbetter Drive.
3211 West Ledbetter Drive. This is a really nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. It's about 2,700 square feet. It is south of downtown. It's going to be right off of Loop 12, which is also called Ledbetter, and Highway 67. There are a lot of people that like this part of town because it really is kind of the southern edge of Oak Cliff, but this is the house that has the 2.7 acres on it.
It is.
And where else in the city of Dallas can you find this kind of land and have this kind of seclusion from your neighbors?
And one of the things that we noticed as we were touring this home is that the way that the setback is. So the house actually probably starts almost 200 feet back from the street, and 200 feet is actually larger than what most city lots are. So this house is not on an irregular lot, which is great because you get full use of the space. Sometimes there's a topography drop off and whatnot, That's a great shot, as Ziggy shows us right now. That is actually the second of the living rooms, and that living room actually also has a brick fireplace with built-in shelving of stone as well. Really great add to that one. But this lot is amazing because of the mature trees that it has, because of the size it is, which is 2.77 acres, and the size of the house itself. It is a single-story ranch that almost, because of the 1952 build, it gets a little bit of the mid-century modern vibe with the overhangs and whatnot. But updated-wise, the house is pretty close to move-in condition. You might want to do something as far as windows or do some insulation, but overall, the floors, if you wanted to change and stain them into a nice gray, that'd be fine. But overall, we're in a situation where this house is definitely move-in.
Yeah. It has, as you can see here, the kitchen, it's got solid surface countertops, great storage, got really cool tile backsplash. The porch that you see off to the right there is fully screened in. So you've got an outdoor environment there, but it's free from mosquitoes, free from, everything else that's out there. There are a new HVAC system in this. It has 2 zones, one on each end of the home.
And one of my all-time favorites, and I don't know if there's a really clear picture on this, but I'm a sucker for a house with a chicken coop. So this house actually is going to have a chicken coop on the back.
I think it's got 4.
So there it is. So it's as good as it gets on this photo. But for me, that is a huge get. There's a little bit of bamboo screening, which makes it kind of nice. But if you're looking for a house that gives you room for projects, I would say this is definitely one that you need to look into.
Yep. And this is priced at $429,000, which is about $160 a square foot. And again, most of the houses that we talk about anyway are between $150 and $200 a square foot. This one certainly comes in on the lower end, but really wonderful opportunity. And we'd like to say thank you to Carla Anderson for letting us talk about her property.
Yep. So we're going to stay inside of Oak Cliff, but we're going to move closer to Kessler, and we are going to talk about new construction townhome. And this is 1832 Stevens Bluff Lane. Jeff, you want to talk about it a little
I'll
bit?
be happy to. This is a really cool David Weekley home. It's about 2 years old. It is a really wonderful floor plan. If you haven't been to this street yet, it is between Hampton and Sylvan, just off of Davis. Once again, this is within really literally walking distance to Bishop Arts District. These are really kind of zero lot line townhome style properties with almost no exterior yard, but with the way that these are constructed, they all have a lot of really cool exterior living space.
Yep. And I actually looked at this exact unit and thought about buying this one. It's a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath. It's a 4-story, and it comes in at 2352 square feet, and it was built in 2016. What we really liked about this one is that when you walk in, this one actually does not touch, I'm going to back up real quick, still outside, it doesn't touch any of the other units. So there is no common wall. So when people get concerned about townhome living because of the noise, this is one of those great ones that will not have that. You also have a small front yard, and this one's been well landscaped, but in the backyard, and I don't know if we have a picture of that one, the backyard is really great because what it does is it would allow perfect space for pets, but they also have this really landscaped quite well, and it also has a lot of privacy. 1 bedroom down, there it is. Really great and easy to look at. This has 1 bedroom down, 1 full bath, no tub downstairs. It has a really nice walk-in shower. When you go up the stairs, this is when you really begin to notice that what you're seeing is probably a model home because of the amount of upgrades. They did a really nice distressed tile all the way up on the side, up the stairs, which is great. When you get into the kitchen, again, you'll be able to get to see some of those upgrades. They are great tile and the backsplash. This is a view from the living room from the far side, and here you can see you have the good-sized couch. That center island right there seats 6, and then there's additional dining space behind that. They've done a really great job of doing updates with the ceiling work that they did on this one with the tray ceiling.
I was just going to say that the way that tray ceiling fits right over the top of the kitchen gives you a sense of division in the rooms, but because it's all open, you've still got that really big, open wide expanse space.
Yep. That's a great one. Now, one of the best things about this one is we get up to the 3rd floor is that's where the master and the 2nd or the 3rd bedroom are, and they actually have the washer and dryer on that floor. So it's a really great add. It's a good design. It shows that somebody's thinking. When you get into the master closet, this is actually that is going to be the master. In the master bathroom, it has 2 closets. So great space for storage, and it is fit and finished, I think, the way that most buyers want it.
Yeah, I would agree. This has the walk-in shower stall that was one of the upgrades that David Weekley did, and it really does have a lot of the extras on it. This is priced at $589,000, which is $250 a square foot, a little bit on the higher side of what we normally talk about, but this again is a 2-year-old David Weekley construction, and really is great quality.
Yep. So moving on, we're going to go into Uptown, and this is going to be 4330 McKinney. Everybody's familiar with McKinney.
Yep.
It's a great street. Tell us a little bit about this. I don't know.
So this is in the Knox Park neighborhood. It is, walking distance to Mr. Macero, to Abacus, to the Apple Store, to Chipotle, to
Metro Gold.
You can throw a rock from this house and hit pretty much any of those stores. It's a great 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, a little over 2,000 square feet. These properties were built by City Homes, and if you've lived in Dallas since the 90s, City Homes was really the major developer that ultimately was purchased by Syntex Homes that built out a lot of that Knox Park area.
Yep. And this is what, when we say more of a traditional townhome of Uptown, this is a really good example of it. So it goes where it has the first floor is going to be garage and 1 bedroom, and then upstairs on the second floor is where we begin to have living room, dining, and kitchen. And then we go up on this one to the 3rd floor, and what we have is a small office, and then the master, which is a really good size. And then we go into yet another large walk-in closet and bathroom.
And this has a small rooftop deck right off of that hallway on the top floor, which is enough room for a couple of chairs and a little table out there, and great outdoor space. Probably has a beautiful, beautiful sunset view.
One of the things that we liked about this one is the fact that there was carpet in limited amount of space. So carpet was only in the first floor bedroom. The stairs were all carpeted, which is a great feature. Really reduces allergies. It's just kind of a design element that we see more people really go to. And it's a simple floor plan, meaning that it's easy for you to know where your furniture goes. So many times we take people into condos that try to get real fancy and showy, and what happens is people really don't understand where their furniture is going to go. This one is very simple and straightforward. It has both a dining area, if that's what you need, and then it has a really large kitchen. Kitchen might be one of the few things that I would say maybe update that with a fresh coat of paint, but otherwise this is move-in ready, turnkey.
Yep.
HOAs come in at $360 a month. And the walkability, I say, is probably
It's almost
an
100.
It is amazing.
It's really located well. Priced at $410,000. That's $200 a square foot. And we thank Emily Ray Porter for letting us talk about her home today.
Yep. And one of the last ones that we're going to take a look at is going to be 1676 Glade Forest Drive. And this moves us over to East Dallas. And this is we haven't actually been in this neighborhood on the show yet. So this is a great time for us to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, this is a really nicely nestled neighborhood right off of White Rock. Again, location is different than what we've been talking about, but where you look at it on the map there, you can see that it is just footsteps off of the Santa Fe Trail, footsteps off the White Rock Trail. You really have great accessibility. If you're an outdoor person, this is a really great neighborhood for you.
Yep. And one of the things that I was really impressed about this house is that the location of it. The actual front yard does not have a direct neighbor, and you have the actual pond and the walking trails in front of you. But once you get inside, more importantly, this is a perfect multi-generational home. So what does that mean? It means we have a master on the first floor and we have a master on the second floor. And both of these masters are great size.
Yeah, the master on the second floor, it really has its own living area up there. So you've got this really great master bedroom, a living space. You've got a couple of other bedrooms up there for either you can use them as bedrooms or offices. So just great floor plan.
And the deal with the master is that it also has either a study or it could be yet another bedroom down. So the versatility of this floor plan is great. It's a little more traditional. It's an Austin limestone, but you can see that the way that this homeowner has set it up, it really speaks to the way that people live today, both fit and finished and with its styling. Good wood floors, solid surface materials used throughout, clean and bright. So many people want to move into a white house so that they can either add the color or they really appreciate the modern floor plan. And I think that this is a excellent example of what a traditional home can be turned into.
Yep.
So if you're looking for something like this one is going to be priced at $649, and that comes in at $205 a square foot.
Great value for the Enclave.
Absolutely. The Enclaves of White Rock Lake. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. And we want to give a special thanks to Christopher Miller for taking the time and letting us take a look at that.
Yep.
Well, that kind of wraps up. We did that in a hurry.
Yeah, that was
knocked
fast
out all
today.
that quite well. One of the other things that we want to talk about is condos.
True.
Condos and townhomes. Why are condos and townhomes so important to today's home buyer?
Well, what we're seeing is because the affordability of property is just kind of gone through the roof right now, that people are really taking a good second look at condominium living. There really have been kind of two classes of condos for a long time. There were the really low end properties, and then there were the really high end properties like the Azure and Blue Ciel and things like that. And now there's a lot of the medium priced condos that people are starting to look at just because of the price point that they can get into. And so today what I was hoping we could do is just kind of run through a couple of the advantages and disadvantages of buying condominiums.
Yeah. And the interesting thing too is that we're seeing as a home buying shifts and home buyers have a life cycle, that we're seeing people that didn't think about living in condos now beginning to, because they're downsizing.
Mm-hmm.
And they've realized that this may not even be their first downsize. It may be their second or their third. And they're stepping into a space that allows them the freedom to travel, not to have maintenance, not to have to worry about the yard. And these have really become popular. So we've got two sides of the pendulum looking at it, both first-time home buyers, and we've got the downsizers. And together, it's a really interesting mix that we're seeing in the uptown market right now.
Some of the to talk about some of the advantages of buying in a condominium.
So the advantages of buying in, kind of keeping in with that, advantage is the amenities. So a lot of times these condos are going to have that situation set up so that they could have either a pool, walking trails, and or workout facilities. Now, all those take into consideration and are applied to your HOA. So the more amenities that you have, typically the higher your HOA is.
True.
So that's one of the things that we see a lot of people desire, because let go of your gym membership, have a place for the pets.
Yeah, and that's it's a really important factor for a lot of people, because they may not want to have the maintenance that comes along with any of those things, or just the cost of owning a pool for one family as opposed to spreading that cost across maybe 100 families.
Right.
Just makes a lot more sense for them.
And one of the things that you're going to see that happens so often is that these condos are located in areas that have a higher density.
Yes.
And as higher density increases, so do shops, so do restaurants, so do things to do in the evening. So what we create is this basically ecosystem that allows itself to be more walkable. And this is what we have seen over and over, that people want to be out of their cars, that they're going to do ride share,
Yep.
and they're going to want to walk to dinner, and they're going to want to walk to the park, and these allow them to do that.
Yeah, the single family neighborhoods that are in the core of the city are really disappearing. I mean, if you look at what is clustered around downtown, Oak Lawn is really one of the remaining single family neighborhoods that have that kind of connectivity, and the number of neighborhoods there is only 3 or 4 at this point.
Correct.
So,
Yeah. So the other thing that, I guess the last that we would talk about, because we've talked about price, we've talked about the amenities, and we've talked about what you actually walkable get. But one of the other things too is the community. So many times when you live in a single family home, you may not know your neighbors, but in a community, you're going to get together for HOA meetings. They'll have parties during the holidays. There is just a completely different feel in these. I know that we had one of our employees lived in 1200 Main and absolutely loved it, raved about the progressive dinners that they had, and that they would have Oscar parties. And so it was just kind of a different feel that they got. And so
it's a neighborhood that they get to create without having to have geographically a neighborhood.
it's a very siloed neighborhood that people have really gotten to enjoy. So we've talked about some of the great things about it. What would you say would be a disadvantage to actually owning a condo or townhome?
Well, a couple of things that come to mind. One of the things that when you purchase in a condominium complex, one of the things that you do is you agree that you are buying into this with all the rules and regulations that come into play. And so there's a little bit of a lack of control that you have as an individual owner. There's a lot of control that the ownership overall has. But there are things that you aren't able to do, like in many condominium complexes. They require that any of the exterior screens or any kind of draperies that face out have to be white.
Right.
And, things like that. So it's not anything that's really too horrible. But those all come into play with the condominium documents, the articles of incorporation, the rules and regulations. And when you're buying a condominium, you get an opportunity to review all of that data before you're committed to buy. So many times people go under contract. It takes about 10 to 14 days to get all those documents from the homeowners association. But the buyer gets 6 days from the date they receive everything to read them word for word. And, it's funny, we have customers that read them word for word. And many times they're really very templated, but there are some variances. Like we have some condominium complexes that we're involved in where the homeowners association maintains the roof. And then we have other condo associations where each individual owner is responsible for the roof. So when you get those documents, it is really important to read through them. We make a little bit of fun about it, but it really is important to read through them and know what you're buying to get into.
Yep. One of the other things, I guess, is financing. Mm-hmm. Financing can be a lot more challenging sometimes in a condo than it can be in a townhome.
Yeah. The secondary market for financing, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, when the market begins to slow, condominiums are the ones that usually take the brunt of whatever's going to happen in the market first. And so many of the secondary market, financing market outlets have rules that they put in place about condo financing. And some of the things that they have in place right now are that at least 70% of the complex needs to be owner occupied. Their experience shows that if you have less than 70% owner occupancy, many times the care for the complex itself isn't quite as done as well as if there's a lot of owner occupants living there. You can't have one investor that owns more than 10% of the complex. So they don't want to see one person that's got so much control over what's going on that the homeowners are left out. So a lot of those things that come into play.
And one of the things is that we've done quite a bit of business inside of the Uptown market. And so if you're considering buying or selling a house or a condo townhome in that area, we'd love to kind of share with you some of the pitfalls and the tips and visit with you about the value of your home. But Jeff, you've also pulled some information that I thought was really interesting that is actually from TAR.
Yes.
And it was from 2018. So
Yep.
This is real-time relevant information, right?
This is. So the Texas Association of Realtors does a really great job providing information for all of its 115,000 members across the state. And, we get these reports from time to time, and this was one that really stood out to me since we were talking about condominiums today. And this looks at the period of July 1, 2017 through the end of June 30th of 2018. So the 12-month period it covers is very, very relevant. And I just wanted to go through some of the numbers about condominium and townhome sales in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Arlington MSA. MSA is a metropolitan statistical area, which is basically, you can't just look at the condo market in Dallas and know what's going on, and you can't look at just Fort Worth. So you really have to kind of look at all of it comparatively. And in condominiums have really had an uptick in the number of sales during this last little 12-month period. They're between that June and end of June and 1st of July period of last year, or the last 12 months, there were over 5,200 new condominium listings, but there were only 3,700 new townhome listings. And this is a couple of things. We are seeing more condo construction come into the marketplace, and we are seeing some condo conversions happen in the marketplace where you have a building that is maybe has been held, maybe it was built during the downturn and it's been held as a rental property by the investor that ultimately ended up with it. Now that they've done a conversion on it to the condominium ownership. And during that same period of time, there were about 3,600 pending sales. And at any one, really the average number of listings during that period of condos was about 884 per month. So when you factor all of this into kind of an economist's point of view, there's about 3 1/3 months of inventory on the market right now. And anytime you have less than 6 months worth of of inventory, most economists believe that that is really a seller's market. And when it's over that 6-month period, it becomes a buyer's market. So we are in a really good, strong condominium market from the seller's perspective.
Yep. And if you go back to that slide, Ziggy, and take a look at the left-hand side, that's going to be a 12-month comparison of the sales right there. And you can see right now, let's kind of look midway in on that chart, and you can see right there we're mid-November, and you can see that the blue is going to be the townhomes and the gray is going to be the condos. And that shows you that we do have healthy sales, but if you bump up to December, you see that you have a market tick upcrease in those, actually over all the way from August. And we're working on a 30 to 45 days. So this doesn't mean that all of a sudden December was just gangbusters and everything happened. This means that it closed and work was being done in October and November to make December's numbers really work out. You'll see that January is one of those cyclical times that it actually turns down. And that's really because so many people in December opt not to put their house on the market, or take it off the market in order to make the holidays bearable.
Yeah.
If you can say that.
Yeah, nobody wants to put their house on the holiday or on the market during the holidays unless they really have a need to sell.
Absolutely.
And it does happen. There are buyers that want to be in something by the end of the year. So
we have those right now.
Yeah.
So we'll get you in there. If you go to the next slide, we're going to look at 12-month comparison and median prices for Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington. Again, we're going to look at the townhomes are going to be in blue and the condos will be in gray. And you can see that typically townhomes actually command a little bit more. And I think there's a couple of things: A, financing, and B, the size. I would say that typically you can get a larger townhome than you can a condo, unless you're going for a penthouse.
Right.
And because there are more square feet, there is going to be a higher price. So these are just kind of some 1-2 things that actually don't say that it's that much better. It's just saying there's some nuts and bolts that create those numbers that we have right there.
And statewide, there were about $5.7 billion worth of condos sold during that same period, and a little over 1.6 of those were sold right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
That's quite a few, if you don't mind me saying. But
And one of the last things I'd like to point out on that slide, Ziggy, down at the bottom on the right-hand side, you'll see there that the average price per square foot, the condominiums, is $194 a square foot. Townhomes are at $157 a square foot. That is really different than the way that it was just a few years ago, and shows that our condo market really is kind of coming back with a vengeance.
Absolutely. Condos are great. Area 17 is where we sell the majority of them, but we also have them up in, and that is Uptown.
Yeah, Uptown,
Instead of
Oak Lawn,
speaking
downtown,
too much
yeah.
real estate lingo, that is going to be where they are. But we're seeing condos and townhomes really taking off. But before, we had not seen new construction in Oak Cliff, and it is coming on in there. We just saw one of the developers today that has typically been in East Dallas, some people are calling it East Village, has just showed up on, wasn't it Sylvan that we went by?
There's a really cool pie-shaped lot on Sylvan that they're about to start a development on.
And we've talked about a couple of others that we've had on the show, so they are coming in, and we're glad to have them here.
Yep.
So
if you have an interest in exploring home ownership from condo perspective, townhome perspective, please reach out to us. We'd love to help you.
Yep. Well, that kind of wraps up segment 1 and segment 2. And I think, Jeff, is there anything else that you'd like to roll through one more time?
I would like to say thank you very, very much for tuning in today. Reach out to us in a variety of ways. You can go to our Facebook page, like that for us. You can also find us on Instagram and follow us there. And there are lots of examples of homes that we sell there. And then our website is chock full of information about everything to do with real estate. Whatever you need is there. If it's not, reach out to us. We'll put it there. And then also homeprice.fyi is a website we've set up for you to specifically get your home value instantly. So just go in there, put your address in. You can also just reach out to us by phone or by text, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yep. Well, thank you so much. We've had a great show, and we appreciate the 30 minutes that you let us into your day. We hope this was helpful. If you've got tips or comments that you'd like to hear us talk about, we'd love to get your feedback.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.